Hello guys, I have returned and never in my life did I think I would talk about a log cow on this channel despite the fact that I have kept up with them for a while now. But what can I say? Well, when it's drying, sometimes a long video essay about a random stranger on the internet is the best background noise. But alas, here we are, and today we're going to be talking about a pretty mainstream log cow, TikToker, however you'd like to refer to her as, and that is Tophiachu. And for those of you who aren't chronically online and don't know what a lolcow is pretty much someone who is popular on the internet, but all of their fans and watchers aren't really fans. They pretty much just watch them to make fun of them. Some examples of popular lolcows, if you need that to know what it is, Daniel Larson, Chris Chan, I think is the most infamous one. One that I also keep up with is Nova Online, who I currently share the same haircut as because he decided to get bangs out of nowhere.
Trolling will get you a one-way ticket
to the Pound Town, aka
Bantown. They just want attention. Ignore it, they just want attention.
Literally the worst thing that has happened to me this week. But anyways, you can have your issues with the concept of a lolcow, but that's not what we're going to be discussing today. Today, we're going to be talking about Tophiachu and the possibility of her scamming her fans again, and her refusal to get a job and constantly trying to make excuses to not better her life. Okay, so for quick context of what led to the current events that are going on right now, Tophiachu and her family were involved in a really bad accident about a month ago where Donald, her brother, sadly passed and her mother Marie was shot and critically injured. And when this happened, people felt really bad for her, rightfully so. She had just lost her brother and almost lost her mother, and if she had lost her mother, she would have been completely alone. And I just wanted to quickly say how people have been, getting mad at people who feel bad for her, in any slight way, which, sorry to break it to you, but people feel basic emotions, okay? People feel bad for other people, that's just how it works. And feeling bad for her is not the same as defending her. But anyway, since people felt bad for her situation, people had decided to send money to her through a GoFundMe that was made, which Tophia is telling the truth when she said that she did not have access to this because it was not made by her, it was made by her brother's friend. But that doesn't change the fact that this money has not been used properly. People had donated this money because they thought that this was going to be used for Donald's funeral, but then a month passed and nothing. No updates. People didn't know if he was already buried, if he was going to get cremated, until recently, when a video got posted to TikTok of Tophiachu walking out of a store, one of those buildings where there's multiple stores next to each other, and she was holding a TJ Maxx and Rocks bag, which led people to think, where did she get the money to be buying this stuff?
That's fucking Tophia. I just done fucking saw them.
Because at that point, nobody had gotten updates of her brother. Nobody knew what had happened to him. And so people thought that she was misusing the GoFundMe money. And this was also fueled by the fact that people had noticed that the amount donated had kept decreasing. And so with this sighting of Tophia just buying random stuff from a store, and the fact that we had gotten no updates on her brother, people, whether you agree with people contacting the funeral home or not, people did it anyways, okay? So we have that information now, but people went to go contact the funeral home and ask about her brother and what had happened to him. And it turns out that he has already been cremated, and it was done by the state. The state gave her $6,000 for his cremation and his funeral expenses. And so people started to wonder, what was the GoFundMe money for anyways if his cremation has already happened and has already been paid for? Because in that GoFundMe, it disclosed that it would be for his funeral expenses. Yes, it did talk about how it would be to help Tophia and her mother, but the main thing was the money was for her brother. And so that led the GoFundMe to be under investigation. And when that happened, Tophia obviously had to make a response, and she claims that her mother's side of the family had given her $300 in gift cards to go spend at those stores, and that she was not using the GoFundMe money because she didn't have access to it, which she is true. She doesn't have access to it, but the person who is running the GoFundMe has said that they have taken out a little bit just to give her occasionally. They have been giving her a little bit, bits of the money from the GoFundMe in pieces, which is fine, but my issue is that it wasn't used for his funeral at all. None of it was used for his funeral. I don't care if she uses it to go buy clothes or basic necessities. That's why it was there. It says it in the description of the GoFundMe. why was none of it used for her brother? They have had to have known prior that the state was going to pay for it. And she had also addressed that and confirmed that her brother had in fact been cremated, and that it apparently took all $6,000 of the dollars that was given to her. That is not how much a cremation is. Okay, anything that was left over after the cremation was definitely and should still be used to bury him, which is what she's saying that they still have to do, and that's why they needed the GoFundMe money for. And they can't do that unless they like unfreeze it because it's under investigation. Like, they can't take anything out of there. But that should already be paid for by the state. That's why they gave you $6,000. A cremation is not $6,000. It is less than that. So anything extra that you have should be used to bury him. So clearly, if this GoFundMe investigation ends up failing and they see nothing wrong with what has happened, it is either all going to go to Donald's friend, going to be given to Tophiachu in bits and pieces, or all going to be given to Tophia at once, which will then be $7,000 for her to hopefully rebuild her life and then get a job in the meanwhile, while having these $7,000 to live off of, and then proceed to just improve her life. But we all know with how Tophia's acting on Instagram, that is not going to happen. But with any of these possibilities that could happen with the money, that doesn't change the fact that the description wasn't being truthful, because people had thought that the majority, if not all of this money, would have gone to his funeral expenses. But instead, it comes out that it's all been paid for, and that it would have all gone to Tophiachu, which is not truthful. That's not what people thought. People thought that like anything left over would have gone to her, not a full whopping $7,000. And that also doesn't change the fact that she also got a copious amount of money from PayPal and Venmo. So what happened to all of that? Because it wasn't for food, she had a $500 Grubhub card to DoorDash, and she's already all used that all, like, in a month. So in that month, she was using that Grubhub card, not her PayPals and Venmos. What was that for? And so, as you can tell, with all the speculation and people being rather upset by the money and how there's no clarification of what any of it is going to be used for or what it has been used for, Tophia has not been happy about this, which has resulted her into posting this long-ass rant on YouTube that I will not post the entirety of here, but I'll post bits and pieces for you guys. So let's get into dissecting her long-ass rant.
So badly to save money that they can barely pay their bills with. I don't know why people are so invested in money my family gave me to say my family didn't give me money. Were you there? Because I was not expecting that money, first of all.
One of the things that she says right off the bat is why people are questioning her for saying that she was gifted $300 in gift cards by her mother's side of the family. And Tophia, you aren't a notorious liar, okay? Obviously people are going to be skeptical, and you have been known to misuse money that has been gifted to you or that you have gotten through TikTok. I remember seeing her go live once, and she spent $70 to $80 at like Burger King or Wendy's on live. There's 3 of you, girl. $70 from DoorDash is insane. And she was living in the motel at that point too. So yeah, girl, you misuse your money, okay? People who have donated to the GoFundMe just wanted to make sure that their money wasn't being misused.
Sit here and try to tell me that I have access to a GoFundMe I don't have access to. And let's not be stupid. You thought by you pretend, because I received notifications when people try to change my passwords and stuff. I'm not stupid. You tried to change the password to my GoFundMe so you could get into it when that money is not sitting in the GoFundMe that I actively have access to. Are you dumb? You're literally trying to prove you're trying to steal people's money from GoFundMe. Oh, I guess I didn't tell you guys that they tried to steal the money you guys donated from GoFundMe because they were trying to access my GoFundMe to take that money. Yes, I received an email that says someone tried to reset the password to GoFundMe, and I will definitely be sharing that screenshot too. So, who's scamming who? I wonder.
Now, this next thing that she says about the GoFundMe, I was under the impression that there was one GoFundMe. So what she's saying is truly confusing. If I'm wrong about that, please do tell me if there was like actually 2, because I thought there was just one, and that she didn't have access to this one because she didn't make it. But she's talking about how people tried to access the GoFundMe through like her email, and she was getting emails about how people were trying to like change the password. If you didn't make this GoFundMe, if you don't have access to this GoFundMe, why is your email under it? Like how do you know that? I could honestly just be having a brain fart moment. So feel free to explain, because I'm just confused. I don't know what she's talking about. Editing Quincy Pierre, I am an actual dumbass. I get what she was saying. I recorded that like early in the morning. Okay, I guess I wasn't fully awake. But she is trying to say that they tried to access her GoFundMe account and thinking that it was under her account, like the GoFundMe, but it wasn't. So they were just trying to steal the money. So like that's how she knows that they were trying to steal money from the GoFundMe. You get what I'm saying? You probably do. You're probably way smarter than me, apparently.
Not only that, they paid Squid to hold up a sign that says that I set up my family, that I'm the reason why my brother's not living, and to promote the Reddit. They paid Squid. I know they paid Squid. Because there's no reason why she would just stand there with a sign promoting Reddit unless she wasn't paid, but yet they want to call me scammers. How did they pay Squid if they don't have any money? They don't have access to money. They're just like the Discord. They expect people to donate, come together, pitch in, put money together. Imagine they put money together to put out a billboard for people to join the Discord in New York City and scammed people and said, hey, this money is going towards a billboard. You put your hard-earned money towards a billboard to harass somebody? That is beyond weird. I'm not surprised.
And then she brings up Squid and how she is saying that the Reddit paid Squid to spread around the rumor that Tophia had planned all of this stuff to happen to her brother and her mother, which Squid is like 100% a fucking weirdo for doing that, okay? I remember seeing that video on TikTok and I was like, girl, I thought you said you weren't going to post on Tophia, like talk about Tophia anymore. Like I thought you said you were over her. And then you just keep posting about her? Make up your mind. And she would constantly reply to people that were like telling her that she was a weirdo for doing that and say, I don't care. I'll say what I want. It's my opinion. If you don't care, why are you replying to them? You know it's okay to care, huh? You know it's okay to care about what people think about you. Just don't go denying it when you clearly do. Squid just constantly tries to act better than other people, and it's like, girl, you do realize you would not have had a platform if it wasn't for Tophia? Like, in all honesty, you only blew up because you brought up the stuff about Tophia's motel. Also, the Reddit did not pay Squid to do anything. I don't know why she's constantly coming at the Reddit when the Reddit just simply says the truth for the most part. But if anything, the Reddit was like talking bad about how Squid was spreading rumors like that because they also thought it was weird. Like, majority of the Reddit does not like Squid. I literally saw somebody compare her to Daniel Larson, okay? Squid is becoming a lol cow in her own part. And Squid never promoted the Reddit either. If anything, she says, I see what you guys say about me on the Reddit. Like, you guys are hating on me. I don't care. I'm unbothered. Sure, girl. Keep bringing it up. We're so unbothered.
And literally to be telling me that I don't have a right to post this video saying I felt sorry for you, but now I have a right to grieve. Here's the thing that you don't understand and that you lack, and it's easy comprehension. You can't tell someone to not feel certain feelings, especially when I watch my brother get murdered. I will never get over that. I will post it as many times as I want to. If you were a supporter of mine once, you don't like that, block me, or I could block you. I don't need to see your negative comments of you saying like this is good. You don't tell someone how to feel and say that they're feeling too much. This just recently happened. You don't tell large content creators to get over things when they constantly talk about stuff because they're your favorites, and I'm so sick and tired of this picky and choosy crap. Like, leave people alone. It's that simple. You don't even know the stuff that I've had to deal with, and you're over here telling me, stop.
Another thing that she brought up is how people have said that she needs to stop posting about her brother, and she replied saying, oh, I can grieve, you guys need to let me grieve. You constantly posting your brother, trying to make excuses for why you haven't tried to get a job and stuff like that, using him as that excuse. You are a shit person, Tophia. You are using your brother's tragedy to try and logically have a reason as to why you are refusing to get a job and better your life. You can grieve. That is what you went through was traumatic. But posting about it 24/7 on the internet is not that way to grieve. And why don't you try to respect your brother's wishes? I remember in a live stream prior, like a while ago, they were live. And you could hear the Brother Chu in the background say, when we get an apartment, I don't want you to go live anymore. Like, I don't want you to do social media anymore. And look what you're still doing, even after he passed. And Mama Chu agreed too. Like, you need to stop oversharing your life on the internet. And she constantly brings up other content creators and says, you guys always send hate to me, but you guys don't do that with like other content creators. You guys don't send them that amount of hate. They do. As long as you have a popular following, you are getting hate, like actively, 24/7. Especially somebody who makes content like you, where you're constantly posting about your life, your personal life. People are going to give you hate and criticism, and if you do not like it, get off the internet. And I know all the hate that you're getting is especially not helping you in your grieving process, so is that not more of a reason to try and get off of the internet? Your logic isn't making sense.
black. It's giving a little you don't like black people, and I don't want someone to come in here and say it's directed towards them and they're black. I don't want to hear your BS excuse. I'm so sick and tired of black women being told to hold their emotions, that it's too much, that they need to stop, they're overreacting, all of this stuff. I'm so sick and tired of it. You don't tell white people who constantly use their trauma day in and day out to cash in and profit.
And then every time she gets criticism, she constantly brings up the race card. People are not hating on you because of your race. It's because of what you're doing. It's your actions that lead people to hating you.
To lie and sit here and say that GoFundMe is investigating me for fraud, GoFundMe is not investigating me for fraud. Do you know how dumb and idiotic you sound? GoFundMe is processing the money that is sitting there. They can see that the money has been sitting there. GoFundMe money was already taking a while to process. It's still taking a while to process. And on top of that, because it's still taking a while to process, you're complaining that he's not being buried and I scam people. No, you stopped the GoFundMe from being able to process so you could say that, oh, look, they're not burying him. You want more? You want to create problems where there's no problems, where you should just leave the problems alone and worry about yourself before your family ends up in this situation.
She also brought up the fact that it's taken a while for the GoFundMe to process. GoFundMe takes 2 to 5 business days to process. All of this stuff came out over a week ago now. You are just now addressing it. So it would have very much been 2 to 5 days since you have actively tried to process the money out. What's taking so long, girl? I'm genuinely so confused. Also, you haven't had a donation on this GoFundMe for 2 weeks now. So why are you waiting till like the last second to do so? She also claimed that they were being investigated, right? And then proceeds to contradict herself by saying that we caused the money to not be able to process properly anymore. So is your GoFundMe under investigation or not, girl? Because it looks like it is.
You're telling me to get off the internet while actively fighting with me, not knowing this dude. We don't know if this dude came from the internet. Do you want to be the next target? Do you want to be on someone's hit list and have, you know, and I'm not saying it should happen to you. You need to be careful with these people that you interact on the internet with. Y'all are sitting here acting like you can absolve yourself of this when you can't. If I was to provide the detectives where you said shoot up his car and you told my mom on station head that you were going to rip me out the window and she was going to sit there and watch, they would look at you suspicious and they would literally find it weird that the very exact thing that you said happened. And they would probably investigate you. I would be careful because I wouldn't want some of y'all to have police show up to your jobs for an investigation and asking you questions and you get fired from your job.
And then she goes and says the perpetrator could have been somebody from the internet and that they don't fully know yet, even though the police have already come out and said that he did not know who they were at all. It was just wrong place, wrong time. And you cannot continue to try and blame the internet for all your problems when you got kicked out of that apartment. It wasn't the internet's fault. It was your father's for constantly burning stuff in that apartment. When you got kicked out of your motel, wasn't the internet's fault. It was your fault for not being able to properly pay for the rent because of your refusal to get a job. And if it were true that the internet is making your life this miserable, maybe get off of the internet? I don't know. It's not like thousands of people have already told you this already.
It clears and it's proven that I didn't scam people. Whoever started that, which I know is the Reddit, is going to get sued because that's defamation. You can't sit here and claim someone is scamming because you don't want people to help. That's what pisses you off, is that you're mad that I haven't made my GoFundMe yet for help with my expenses. Because you do know I have to get furniture and I have to have money to move. I'm also going to have to get the car and stuff. It bothers you that I have unlimited access to help. I never asked for help. My brother's friends stepped in, and it was a good thing they stepped in right away, because look, now we have this money to bury him, hopefully. I don't know, if my brother doesn't get buried, I'm going to make sure I'm going to sue the Reddit for everything. Everything. I'm going to sue them. I'm going to sue you guys for that money to bury him. I'm going to make sure you pay to bury out of pocket. And I'm sure you don't got the money. And before your bill gets paid, before you pay your bills, your rent money's going to go to bury my brother, one way or another. If you stop any sort of money that I have not spent from GoFundMe, and you do not allow my brother to get buried, I will make sure I take it out of your paycheck. And I will make sure I take your whole paycheck for the rest of your life. You continue with me, and I will make sure your funds come to me, okay? Because that's how it works when you do defamation. You think you could just sit here and lie on someone? Why do you think JG's suing this lady for millions of dollars? She don't got. I'm pretty sure you don't got the type of money. You don't got that, because now I got help. You know that I got money for legal fees too? I would suggest you don't mess with me, because these unlimited funds for legal fees, you're done, buddy. You're done. And if you think it's just some joke, it's not just some joke. I'm not saying this just to say this. You could report to the state, or you want the city, that about funds that they gave us. The funds that they gave us was not because we liked them. So no matter how much you try to say, well, I'm going to report you to the city for money they gave you, did you know that they help victims of crimes? That's what that money was for. They have to help you regardless because you're a victim of a crime. They can't not just help you because someone says you're a scammer. You guys do not know how that works, and I'm glad none of y'all work with victims of crimes, because then they wouldn't get the help they deserve because you're being biased. That's why I don't like that certain people work in the force, because they have a bias. I don't like people that have biases, because you're not for helping people, you're for helping yourself. Just saying that, by the way.
And then she goes on saying that she's going to sue the Reddit for defamation because the government has given her money to sue people. Oh my god, girl, your priorities are in the wrong place. Why do you insist in feeding your trolls by constantly saying, I'm going to sue you guys, the government has given me money, I'm going to sue you guys? $6,000 of that money, the max that she can get from like the victim crime, from being a victim of this crime, is $20,000. Okay, so $6,000 of that has gone to your brother. A good chunk of that is going to go in your mother's hospital bills, and anything extra, maybe use it on therapy, because that's what they can cover too, your therapy. I do not doubt that this tragedy has affected you mentally, so instead of trying to sue your trolls, which is not gonna work, by the way, use the money to go get some therapy so you can get a job and assimilate to the real world. I was gonna say back to the real world, but you haven't had a job in like years now, so that wouldn't really make sense. And then she also brought up that she needs more money and that she's going to make her own GoFundMe so that she can pay for like furniture and her apartment expenses. You really think people are gonna donate to you still? After you have been, there's multiple screenshots of you replying to people who have just been telling you to get a job, and you're replying in like the worst ways possible. You're gonna be rude to your donors and then expect more money? No, girl, get a job. The internet is not responsible for keeping you housed and clothed and fed. And this is also why I have an issue with the GoFundMe, because she got this much money from this GoFundMe, which is making her think that the internet owes her to pay for like her entire life, for the rest of her life. That is not how this works. You get some of this money to help you, and if you were, making the right decisions, you would get yourself some counseling, and then you could get a job and you wouldn't have to rely on the internet and deal with trolls and haters. Even though that's not what most of these people are. Most of these people are people just trying to tell you how to better your life and telling you that you need to wake up.
I was homeless, living out of a car with no money because all the money went into gas and car parts. What's wrong with you? Here's the crazy part. My brother's not sitting in a morgue. He's sitting in an urn until the money processes for him to be buried. But what did you want my brother to do? Sit in the morgue for months waiting for money that I was never going to get? Mind you, it would have took well over a year to even get those $6,000, because they only help you up to $6,000. So the city only helps you up to $6,000. The service, the casket was not free. They gave him the wrong casket. My family complained about that, but they gave him the wrong casket. His service, the cards for his service were not free. The service was not free. Let's see what else. His urn was not free. To cremate him was not free. That all came out it came to $6,000. So with him cremated, it was $6,000. That does not include burial, headstone, and plot. And since y'all can't do basic math, because I know some of y'all need to take your ASS back to elementary school because you're stupid, I could really help you, because stupidity is one of these things. If you do not learn anything from me, you're going to be stuck in a situation where you have to pay thousands of dollars that you don't have for funeral costs. So it's better you listen to me before you plan way too late. So then the burial, the plot, the service, because for everything, including a service, his headstone and all of that comes out close to, it's $4,120 on top of the $6,000 for the burial cost. Mind you, people are going to be pissed off when we get that extra money. Now that extra money, which is none of anyone's damn business, but since they want to be in the business, that's going to be set aside for when we gotta move. Movers, furniture, all of that good stuff, down payments, deposits, all of that. People say that I put my business out there, but then they say stupid shit like she's scamming, so they have a reason. So that way when I address myself, they can say, well, she's putting all of her business out there, but you caused that. First of all, you're the one who said that I was scamming people. Make that make sense. I'm supposed to sit here and not say anything, and then you say that I put my business out there. Well, maybe if you shut up and stop typing. Some of you guys need to worry more about what Trump is doing with your lives than worrying about someone scamming people on GoFundMe that doesn't even have access to the GoFundMe, because you're about to not have access to houses and rent and being able to live the way you live. You're going to end up homeless just like me, and this world is a dangerous place. So I would make sure that you worry about yourself before worrying about me. Maybe worry about Trump ruining the economy before you worry about me. That's just a crazy thought, but hey. because these rich people are taking money out of your pockets. And if you think it's going to get, these tariffs are making things worse. $9 for a box of cereal. You're worried about a scam because you want to believe in your heart that I'm scamming people because it bothers you so much that I got money. But yet you won't take this energy to the government and fight why grocery prices are so high and why a box of Kellogg's cereal in New Jersey is $9 and why eggs are so high and why packs of cigarettes, which, mind you, if you can't afford your habit, then maybe you should just quit. But packs of cigarettes are now up to $13. Maybe instead of worrying about those issues, because I think nicotine is bad, I think smoking is bad in general, you should just quit. But then again, it's hard for some people to quit, and I understand. But some of the basic necessities are too expensive. Some of you guys literally have your priorities all mixed up, and you don't have a grasp on reality. $9 for a box of cereal in New Jersey, but you're stopping someone from being buried.
And then the rest of it is pretty much saying, oh, I'm not a scammer, go worry about Trump and what he's doing to the economy, blah, blah, blah. You should be more concerned with that, even though I hate that argument every single time because, you know, you can be concerned with multiple things in your life. Multitasking is very well a thing. And it's her also calculating the stuff like, oh, $6,000 was like all the cremation and it's $4,000 something to have him get buried. And that would be like half of the GoFundMe money. But if that were true, the issue here is still that you are trying to rely on donations to live. And she thinks that she can still do that even months after this tragedy. But people aren't going to donate to you at all, like anymore. You have completely lost people's trust. People do not feel like you're telling the truth. So, like I've said multiple times, and what multiple people have said, you need to try and get a job. Especially now. It's so saddening because people thought that her brother's passing would have been a wake-up call for her to get her stuff together, and it wasn't. So what is it going to take? Clearly nothing. She will continue to act like this and live like this, and no one can help her. Everybody telling her advice, trying to tell her that she needs to get her act together, it's not working. So at this point, she's a lost cause. There's no hope for Tophia. She's going to continue to ruin her life and the rest of her mother's life, and spend her days oversharing and constantly replying to trolls on the internet. It's just sad, honestly. That's the most I can say to describe it. It's sad. It's also frustrating seeing her trying to get sympathy even after she has said, like, disgusting things to people in her comment sections. She's telling them, you should have never been born. Okay, that sounds kind of funny when I say it. Just imagining her saying that out loud does slightly make me chuckle. But what she's done that specifically irked me is, after all this happened, people gave her sympathy, right? People changed the way they looked at her and viewed her, decided to give her sympathy and donate to her because of what she went through. And then she proceeds to repost this one post. Just watch it and you'll see how icky it makes you feel. Okay, I was going to post the video on here, but then there's a certain word that the guy says in the video, like a copious amount. And I don't feel like getting like flagged or anything like that, and I don't know how to censor on CapCut, okay? So if you just go under her reposts, it's not that far down, and you find some video with like the same little user, you'll find it. You'll see what I'm talking about. So you're not gonna feel sympathy when somebody you don't like passes, but you expect people who don't like you, who haven't liked you or your brother or your family, feel sympathy for you after what happened to you? It is insane how much of an ego and how much of a narcissist she is, even after everything that has happened. But I think that's all I wanted to talk about today. There is truly no hope for Tophiachu. She will continue to worsen her life as the days go by. If I said anything incorrect, please feel free to correct me, because there was a lot of information everywhere. All of this was confusing. And this will probably be my only and last video on Tophia.